Welcome back to Garden Studio. In today's video, I am planting a host of delightful summer and fall blooming bulbs. I want to show you how I'm using these in my garden, both in the ground and in planters, for an extra magical layer of color and bloom from summer through fall. These are all summer and fall blooming bulbs. Right now, my task is to lay them out and get them in the ground. I have a brand new bed space here that I am looking to populate. You can see a little bit, there are seedlings that I started all from seed this year, annuals, perennials, and then bulbs are the cherry on top, that extra interest and layer that's just gonna make this really pop even in the first year. The biggest elements that I will be planting are the Dahlia tubers. So not technically a bulb, this is a tuber, but it takes up a little more space, has a little more oomph really than any of the others, even probably the lilies. So these are the ones I'm going to place first and get them kind of evenly distributed so that it feels balanced. And then I'll go back in with another layer of something and another layer and another layer, so that it all feels evenly distributed. I'm not doing a design in this section that has big clumps of one thing or rows of anything. It's all just a big wild mixture. So I want it to read as one continuous field of color. These are the Dahlia tubers. You can see it almost looks like a hand. And this part goes up. This is a little fresh shoot. It will grow up towards the light and it will be planted in the ground more or less like this. The dahlias that I just put out are all called bee-friendly single flowered dahlia mixture. So anytime you have a flower that has stamens visible, the middle is open and not full of petals, that's why it's called bee friendly, is they just can access what they're hoping to get a little bit more easily. This second kind, I just have two of these. This is a Bracken ballerina dahlia, and it is a kind of lilac color, really beautiful. I think I'll focus on the edges. With these peacock orchids, these are a little bit shorter. It is in the gladiolus family. It's essentially a hardy gladiolus by another name. It is not an orchid, so don't let that confuse you. But because it's smaller, I think I am going to focus on the edges so that you can see it with just a few peeked through, again, to unify it. My last bulb is the summer hyacinth, which are white spires, and I have 9 of them. So they will be scattered in and then we'll be ready to plant. At this point, I have to really watch where I'm stepping. There are plants and bulbs everywhere. I have here what is called a hori-hori knife, or a soil knife would be a simpler name. They're sold by either one, and it's just essentially the serration helps you cut into the ground. It's a great tool to get leverage and dig. An awesome way to plant bulbs. I do have one of those, looks like a great idea, big cookie cutter kind of bulb planter in my clay soil. It doesn't work very well. Even this, having just been dug up, has enough clay content. You can see that it's hard to use one of those. This is ideal. So with planting a bulb, the rule of thumb is 3 times as deep as the bulb is tall. And it doesn't have to be incredibly mathematical, but you do want to approximate with your eye. So a really large bulb is going to go significantly deeper than one like this hardy gladiolus. I think that looks like about 3 times as deep. And of course, the shoots are pointing up, the base plate's down, and cover it up and keep going. Only about 100 more to do. I am here in the kitchen courtyard getting ready to plant the rest of my bulbs in tubers. So the first bulk of my bulb order went in my perennial garden, and these are actually going in planters. This is something I've only started experimenting with this year, is to do some planters that are all bulb plantings. But I did leucojum and hyacinth this year already, and that was a really fun display for spring. I'm excited to try some new things for this summer season that I haven't done in pots before. Here I have a fantasy canna that is going in the middle of this pot with the sweet pea trellis. I figure that by the time the sweet peas poop out, the canna will be able to take over. This one is a really exotically colored variety called Fantasy. Go pick strawberries? I'll come in just a minute. Look, I'm planting. This is called a rhizome, and I'm planting it in this pot. Do you want to help me? No, he doesn't. I think one challenge with doing bulbs and planters can be the fact that you have to wait a little bit for them to look like something. So 2 ways around that would be, 1, plant something else that is easy to remove or just will kind of naturally fade as your bulb comes through. Or number 2, have a planter that you keep just in the wings, that you plant your bulb and then you rotate it out when it is starting to look like something. Or actually, I'm just thinking of a third option, because that's something I'm going to do over here, is to incorporate bulbs into a grouping. So right here is a whole grouping of different pots, and there are some of them that are going to be full right away, and others of them with the bulbs that'll take a little bit of time to look like something. And I'm not worried about that, because there still will be some presence there. My son just brought me a wild strawberry. Cheers. Thank you, buddy.
I eat it.
Eat it. Delicious. Here is an example of a rotation situation. So these are narcissus that are going over, but I do really want to save the bulbs for next season. So I am going to put them in this plastic pot just to kind of act as a holder for them. And then I can put something else more decorative in this terracotta pot for summer. They're just going to be cozy for this next little bit. I have a very, very obliging baby. I'm really grateful. He lets me still get some gardening done and sleeps right through it, which I love. I know that won't always be the case, but like with everything, we just have to take things in the snatches, do them when and how we can. Okay, I have these 2 pots now. I'm going to fill them with potting soil, and I have what is called here double blue freesia. It is a beautiful blue purple kind of ruffly flower. I've never grown freesia. I've seen them for sale like at garden centers in planters and things already started, but I've never tried doing my own, and I think they're so fun. I'm going to start with this planter. If I feel like I filled it up, I may go to this one. But one thing, and I've said this before, but about planting a bulb, a small bulb especially in a planter, is you really want to have them very close together and just kind of ignore the spacing on the package. This pot here is very large, and I wanted something very statement and commanding to go in it. So I have Pacific Jewel Dahlia. It is supposed to get about 22 inches and be a lilac blush color. So I have 2 of them, and because the pot is so large, I'm going to use both in here. This little growth is what we want to see here. If you get a tuber and no, these are called little eyes that are coming off. This one just has the one. As long as it has at least one, that's a great sign that it is a viable tuber. I would say if you don't see any, sure, plant it anyway, but it is a guaranteed live tuber if you see this kind of growth coming off. I removed the other items that were in here. And this pot is so big, I'm not going to try to do the move into the wings and then come out on stage, because I just don't have the energy for that. But now, because this is sort of a one-sided theater view, I am putting both of these a little bit, a little bit towards the back. They are down, I always like to reference the package, just in case, 2 inches deep. So all I'm going to do here is really just smooth this out. I will top it at the end. I have some plants here that I forgot to get out into the kitchen garden. These are ground cherries, and because I've already packed my kitchen garden beds full, I am going to mix business and pleasure and put a couple of these ground cherry seedlings, just so I have them, in the front of this pot. If you have never grown ground cherries, they do a sort of spilling and draping thing. So it doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but if I have 2 of these coming forward, they will bush all out over the front of this pot. And in no time, it will all be lush and filled. So I will top this off and then move on to the next. My next pot here is going to have Puro carpet border lilies in it. This is a dwarf pure white lily, and I always like to have a punch of white right here. White shows up so well. I feel like it sets off any other color that you have in your pots. So I'm featuring a few white things, white here, a little dash of white here, a big splash of white here. I'll do some white behind me. And I find that just makes everything look brighter and cleaner. Kind of like white margin around the design. It just makes everything pop. So this is a little closer than I would do for garden spacing. But in a container, you really want everything close together so you have just a phenomenal display year one. There we go. We have the tips pointing up, roots going down, and this is going to get filled. This would be great in the garden. So if after this year I decide I either don't love it in a pot or I just want to have it out in the ground, I can replant it. And the same thing with the dahlias. That is a great option for growing as an annual if you don't want to dig them up every year. So it's possible to overwinter the tubers. It is a bit more work. You can play roulette with leaving them in the ground or leaving them in a planter. But I think once you put something in a planter, you kind of know this is for display. This is seasonal, and it doesn't feel quite as bad if you end up pulling it out, tossing it, and starting again next year. The final pot I want to do right now is Whittam Dahlia, or Whittam Dahlia. This is a pure white. So again, back to really wanting a punch of white over here. That feels pretty good. I don't replace potting soil every time. I kind of make a judgment on how it feels. Are there too many roots? If there are not too many roots, I just top it off and make sure that I note this is going to need a little bit more fertilizer probably over time if the potting soil isn't new. Looks about like the right level. And I think I'm only going to fit one in here. And the other one, the second one in this package, will go out in the garden. Again, I'm going to scoot towards the back a little bit and just put a couple of things that will spill over the edge so that the pot doesn't just feel empty with a dahlia coming out. I like to have something at the feet. So this one is a bacopa, little white flowers. This is a wave trailing petunia. Those are a little bit sad looking, but it'll revive. Trailing white flowers. So we'll have that punch of white over here. And with that, I have my tubers in the ground, tubers and bulbs. I will finish planting my annuals and call this space complete. I will be posting another video with the reveal of all of these things, this lovely perennial garden area and the planters, to show you just what they look like once they are all grown in and in bloom. Thank you so much to flowerbulb.eu for sponsoring this video. Please visit flowerbulb.eu for more information and inspiration.